to the Cooler Women's Wellness Tribe, the podcast. Get comfortable, or get your walking shoes on, and let's get going. Hello, tribe. I'm very excited. We're on episode 5. And today I have my very first podcast guest. There's definitely some kind of manifestation magic happened here as well. So my guest today, I actually found through her podcast, and from this journey, and it is a journey that we've been on together, that I've been able to sort of come through. I'm a completely different woman. So this fantastic woman, Kim Mellor, who is joining me today, has been, I'm going to say, the devil and the angel on my shoulder for the past the past couple of years. So I found her podcast, and weirdly enough, we come from the same town, or not weirdly enough, because there's no such thing as coincidences. And through her podcast, I then joined her in coaching opportunities and her courses, which you can check out on her website. I'll put in the links. But honestly, she is amazing. She has helped me make so many mindset shifts, life shifts, all the spirituality shifts. And I think the way that I live now is, a lot of it is down to you, Kim. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, I think just when people are listening to the podcast today, they'll get the vibe of just how high your frequency is, how high your vibe is, and why you change the lives of so many women. And yeah, if one fantastic woman listens to this podcast today and feels like she's ready to change her frequency, change her vibe, then our job here is done. So welcome to the Cooler Women's Wellness Podcast, and thank you so much for being my first guest.
Wow, I'm honoured. What an introduction. Thank you so much. I quite like being the devil on your shoulder. That sounds a bit more
Yeah.
Wow. And I just want to say how proud I am of you. I have had the privilege of watching you flourish in so many ways, and to see you now create those ripples by starting this podcast, leaning into your edges and giving other people permission is just so magical. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for that. And I'll just tell a little bit about, I know I tell everybody this, so I found your podcast, it probably was back in 2020 when you first started it? So the Soul Digger podcast. And obviously there was a lot going on in the world then, and I was going through some personal changes, and I was sort of getting the world of spirituality sort of slapped me in the face. And I found your podcast, and I knew that you were from Stoke, but I hadn't put 2 and 2 together. And I'd mentioned it to my friend, you need to listen to this podcast. The girl's from Stoke as well, so we had that. And my friend was like, oh, Kim, we used to get in the same clubs and the same after parties. And I think at the time, we obviously weren't meant to have an impact back then when we were in our 20s, because we were obviously in the same room, but we didn't have the connection. And I just think it's so magical how you live in Bali, I live in Dubai, and now we're working together. And it's just amazing how the universe works, that it didn't bring us together 15 years ago, but now there was obviously something there, starseeds coming back together. And honestly, I think I'm always wowed by it when I think about it in my head. I'm like, gosh, this is so amazing that we've traveled halfway across the world. I don't know the miles, but and now we work together. And yeah, I really love it.
It is just so magical. And it's only when you start connecting the dots backwards, you go, oh, okay, so you had to go on your path, I had to go on my path, and together you're adding so much value and inspiration for me too. So I'm just so proud of us as well for following our dream and escaping the matrix, and living in exotic countries that we've always dreamed of. So I'm proud of us.
Yes, and I think we are sort of evidence of it doesn't matter where you come from, anything is possible. And we were both born in the same town, and it's not, it's Stoke-on-Trent, it's a working class town. And I think it just shows that if you have dreams and desires and you see that there's more to life and you feel like you have gaps to fill, then go for it. What I'd like to talk about today is, in my last podcast, I spoke a lot about my past with anxiety, and my nervous system was just, if I imagine my nervous system and my nerves, it just looks like a load of scribble on a piece of paper. There was just no regulation to anything I was feeling, anything I was doing, and I was just on burnout, blowout every single day. And I know that that's something that you've also been through. And I think today I'd just like to talk a little bit about regulating your nervous system, how it feels, tools that particularly that you use, because you've passed a lot on to me. We can share that with the tribe today.
Yeah, the nervous system piece is something that I, to be honest, have only deepened my wisdom in since I burnt myself out in October time too. So for anyone who's listening, the nervous system is, it basically looks after our mind, body and soul. So if you imagine back in the day, we were cavemen and women. We had a fight and flight response, running away from danger, and usually toothed tigers. And it was useful to have that response because it kept us alive. And now that response is going to work, being sat in traffic, bills to pay, the stress of tuition fees, the stress of money coming in, and so many health stresses. It's so different. If you think, it's just crazy to think that we were running away from saber-toothed tigers and now we're sat in traffic. And so this fight and flight response is something that I'd say probably 90% of people have if they're in a 9-to-5 job or they have a business, and if they're not prioritizing their nervous system. And what it might look like is very shallow breath, fast heartbeat, very hard to digest food because the blood is going to the heart to keep it in this fight and flight response. And usually like huge burnouts of energy. You might have surges where you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so energetic, because you kind of need to get through the day. And then it's like slump. Your nervous system, if you think about it, your mind, body and soul, when those things are not in alignment, that's when we have to overcompensate with effort. Okay, so I have always had this kind of controlling manipulation. I always thought I had to hustle my way to get what I wanted. So for most of my life, I've been in fight and flight. And I think, like I say, the majority of the population is. So what I realized was, if I want to attract more and earn more, does that mean I have to increase my effort? And what happened was, I was on this hamster wheel, on the treadmill. I was super successful in my business and in my life, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. And I thought, if I want to create more, I can't physically give anymore. And it took for me to be burnt out for me to realize there's another way. There is another way. Yeah. And that's when I started to like really awaken spiritually to the universe and law of attraction and vision boards. And Gabrielle Bernstein was one of the first leaders who came into my awareness, who gave me a different perspective. Instead of running off of 4 hours sleep a night and just getting it done and being in this uber masculine mode, she said, the more fun you have, the more money you make. Rest is actually productive. And money loves coming to you when you're having fun. It's like, fun and money didn't really go together for me. Relaxation, I thought, was lazy, something that you might do on the weekend, but surely there's stuff to do, right? So we need to get all the stuff done to feel like we're successful. And I started to attract more people into my life who were living this way, not just talking it, living. And so I was looking at these two worlds and thinking, okay, it's clear there's more than one way to do something. Yes, I could burn myself out and just hustle, or I could look after myself, prioritize my well-being, relax, meditate, and attract from a different frequency. Now, embodiment is different from information. Okay, so you can listen to an audiobook, you can read a book, and you can know the information. But it's only when you start to live and embody that new way of being is when that new reality starts to be attracted to you, because we don't get what we want, we get who we are. So this process of embodiment, of embodying this calm, stable nervous system, dialing into a frequency, being that version of me who already has what I want, is taken a lot of practice. And I thought I was over the other side, and I was like, yeah, I'm fully in my magnetism. The less I do, the more I make. And then last year, my business took a redirection, and I just went fully into coaching. I gave it everything. I was investing a lot of money, and I spent a lot of money. And so in September time last year, I hit another burnout, another bottom that I just wasn't expecting. And this is the thing, we think we've healed one level, but then there's another level. At every level, there's a new devil. So there was just a deeper layer of embodiment that I had to realize and actually act from. And so that's why I had the greatest gift of all, which was to burn myself out. So what that felt like, it just felt like the whole world was crashing around me. I wasn't manifesting anything. I felt depressed. I felt stressed and anxious. I didn't feel like I could focus or be present. I didn't feel like I could sit still for one single minute. I'd maybe go to the beach and try and relax, and I just couldn't. I felt like I just had to be doing something, because I had so many outgoings I had to keep up with, that it was like a constant stress of, where's this money going to come from? So during that spaciousness and during that time, I asked the universe for an answer. I was like, what is it that you're showing me? And the voice said, what does your soul really desire? And what I felt was so different than what I was actually going for in my mind. It wasn't about a goal, it was a way of being. And I really wanted to slow down. I wanted a family. My spirit baby came to me in that time too, for the first time. And I realized that I wanted to have a calm, stable nervous system. I wanted to be present and to be able to relax and enjoy life, because the money in the bank account does not make you enjoy life anymore. And so that lesson for me was, okay, I need to do things differently. And what that differently looked like was prioritizing my health and well-being. Like fully being in coherence, mind, body, and soul, is slowing down and aligning to the highest frequency, which is, for example, people talk about high frequency all the time, but you don't need to feel good to be on a high frequency. Like truth is the highest frequency. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, what is a high frequency? I feel really low right now. The highest frequency you can be in is the truth of where you are, and just allow yourself to be there without any shame, without any resistance. And so I allowed myself to be in that place, to feel all the emotions of shame and guilt, because the business that I built and the goal that I had all of a sudden just kind of transcended into thin air. So I had to be with the emotion and with the feeling of that. And this new commitment of doing things differently just felt like an exhale. I realized that I had nothing to prove. I was done with doing it on my own. I was done with making these big stressful decisions, like why and for what, So that was my biggest lesson last year, that has dropped me even deeper into this regulation of the nervous system.
Yeah, and I think if people were honest, and we see, especially on social media, and there's like hustle, and badass boss babes and, you know, work. But if people were to really sit down and do exactly what you did at the beach, or speaking to the universe and asking them what they want, I think a lot of people, if not most people, I can't imagine anyone saying, I want to work harder and longer and have no time to enjoy life. I can't imagine anyone saying that. And I know that I've read somewhere before that isn't one of the biggest regrets on people's deathbeds that they didn't spend enough time enjoying life with friends and family, working, they wish they'd worked less. So I think just even looking at it from that point of view, and as you said, just letting go, because there's so much, if you try and control and micromanage, and your nervous system is just going to be shocked, and then you end up burnt out, and then obviously then it's a big, you know, you could be opening a can of worms there for other things to then come in. So yeah, I totally get everything that you've just said there. So what kind of things, so once you'd had this time with yourself and you felt like, when you said that it felt like a big exhale, I felt that with you, you know, when you just feel like, oh, and the way my shoulders sank down away from my ears as you said that. So what did you do then? So what kind of thing, what did you do differently? How did you let go of this control of the business and trying to make things happen? What was the step? What did you do?
I surrendered and I prayed.
Yeah.
And like any time where you really surrender is the answer comes in ways that you aren't expecting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of people try and control how they want things to be, and if things feel hard, it's because we're trying, you know, and when things are easy and effortless, it's because we're in the flow and we're aligned. So because I allowed myself to rest, because that was the only option, I started to come back into coherence and alignment. And in that alignment and in that surrender, I prayed and I said, universe, okay, this new way of being, I'm ready, I surrender, show me. And that's when Healy came into my world, the incredible device and business and community that we're a part of. And I've known about Healy for 2 years, and it was just a no. It sounded like a good idea, but I literally can't do anything unless I get full fuck yes. So it became out of nowhere a full body yes. It was like the divine came into my consciousness, planted Healy, and my body just lit, every single chakra just lit up with like, ding, 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 ding. This is the vehicle that's going to allow your nervous system to feel supported. Yeah. And I think the biggest reason why that is for anyone who's listening, Healy is a frequency device that helps to bring you back into coherence. You know, we're 99.999% energy, and frequency is the future of medicine. You can Google Einstein. He's quoted that, you know, for years and years and years. And this technology has been birthed at this time to support the evolution of humanity. And I truly believe it's going to play one of the biggest parts, the shifts in consciousness that's happening right now. So the device, I started to use that, and it supported my embodiment of this highest aligned frequency that I desired to be in. And then there was the mentoring side of things. So my amazing friend Sarah, who I enrolled with, she had been such a great support for me. So she helped me to elevate and anchor into this highest version of me. And, you know, I'm a coach and you're a coach, right? But also, and it's so important to have those people and those mirrors reflect back at us our power. So she's been amazing for that. And then the community has been like, oh my God, like the absolute soul tribe. And this is like a huge part of regulating your nervous system, is actually being around people who share the same values and same energetical blueprint. Because the same as what they say, you know, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with. It's not just financially, it's your nervous system. And so I came from a business where it was the hustle culture, into a business where women would have 4 days off because they were on their period. You know, a community where women spoke about energy and alignment and taking care of ourselves as number one. And yes, business is important, but it's frequency first. Let's tap into the vision. Let's use intuition. And I was like, I think I've just manifested this whole thing to support me at this time, because I was like, wow, this is exactly what I need. And then also the pathway, you know, because as an entrepreneur, I've built a successful social selling business before, built it to like 6 figures, and then really desired to put attention into coaching. Coaching is very lone wolf. It's often high expenditure with team and investments and launches and mentors, and the list goes on.
Yeah.
And what I really missed about social selling was the community and the leverage. So a lot of people are trading time for money. They work an hour, they get paid an hour. Even as an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. You've got often business expenses. So like, I've always known that leverage and creating a passive income stream is so important to be able to relax and enjoy life, because you don't want to be trading time for money. So this business model allows you to not trade time for money and create leverage, which is the most supportive thing for your nervous system. You know, there's so many healers, coaches, facilitators, people who've got magic in the world, but it requires them to feel full and be in overflow, not stressed or fight and flight, wondering where the clients are going to come from. That's actually a huge part of my purpose, is to support healers, support people whose magic is their energy, to actually allow them the stability to relax and not have to worry, so they can just be them and share their magic in the world.
Yeah. And everything you've just said there, I can back up. So again, this is another one of those magical things that happened, that I had already joined the Healy Facebook group last year sometime. And I was dipping in and out, reading what the Healy device was. And then I got the call from you, and I think you just said, have you heard of Healy? And I was like, yeah. And I thought you were going to tell me to get one. I was like, oh, I've heard of it. But then just perfect timing again. It's as if the universe knows that, because I was sort of brand new to coaching, coming from school teaching and being very, I don't know, in the matrix there, to then suddenly being on my own and being like, oh, who do I ask if I'm not sure of something? And then I could feel, you know, my nervous system like, oh God, I'm actually on my own here, which is what I wanted and why I left teaching. But it was a bit like, whoa, this is weird. This is a bit funky. Like, it was pushing me to my edges. And then, yeah, then you called me. And I actually said yes. Was it the first call? I think I just said yes. And I didn't actually even have the device, but my body was just telling me that you need to take this leap of faith. You need to do this. And it was brand new. It is still brand new to me, but I am loving everything about it. I'm loving learning new skills and, you know, how to talk to people, because going from being a teacher and talking to teenagers is very different coming into another world and talking to people who are actually on my wavelength, sharing the same blueprint, speaking to people across the world about things that I'm really interested in, and not just data in a spreadsheet. Yeah, and there's no turning back. And my nervous system now, because we have an amazing group, we've got our team, the WhatsApp groups there, and I'm sure you'll agree, it's kind of just, you know, shoulders away from the ears, taking that exhale and just being able to breathe. It's the only way that I can describe it. It's just high frequency, high vibe, surrounded by these people all day, all the time.
Yeah. And for anyone who's listening and is really interested in the nervous system, The nervous system is, we all deserve to prioritize it. It's one of the most incredibly supportive parts of our life that we underestimate. You know, it's when we have a calm, stable nervous system, we're able to be present. We breathe fully, we breathe slowly. We're able to have conversations and actually listen to someone. You know, our body has the breath, the blood flowing freely. Your energy is actually conserved because it's not, you know, in this fight and flight, ready to run away. And so you have more energy to put towards the things that you love. You receive downloads, you're open to receiving guidance, but you have to give yourself the spaciousness to actually recalibrate your nervous system. So if anyone is thinking about how do I even start with this, just take a look at your life and just have a little assessment. I think, where can I add in more spaciousness for me? Because awareness is the first thing, right? And just notice, like, throughout your day today, if you're listening to this podcast, when and where you get stressed, where things irritate you, where you might feel out of breath and just like in the head. Maybe you get even headaches. Like, I know if I'm stressed because I get headaches, I'm like, okay, I'm doing too much here.
Yeah.
Just notice how you're feeling. And when you start to understand that self-love is so important, and actually you are so valued and needed in your highest frequency, in your highest vibration, you have to take care of yourself, and only you can do that. You know, and a lot of mums especially put themselves at the bottom of the list, but really our children are also picking up on our energetic blueprints. So the best way to actually bring up our children is for us to look after ourselves. Maybe that is having a childminder more times in the week, giving ourselves what we need, allowing space to slow down. Most people are trying to speed up because they're trying to get more. More is not the answer to happiness. Let me say that again. More is not the secret to happiness. If you cannot find happiness in the now, it will always escape you, because all we actually have is now. And this is why I say the promotion that you're going for, the zeros in your bank account, you know, all those things that we're striving for in this modern day world. Why do most billionaires have money but are depressed? Why do a lot of celebrities achieve stardom and sometimes sadly commit suicide? Because they put too much emphasis on success being outside of them and in front of them. And if they're not achieving, then if they're, you know, busyness has now become it used to become a badge of honor. And I know my mum was super busy, God bless her, and it becomes an addictive, like we get addicted to our phones, we get addicted to the stress of life, and we just, because we can't keep still. And it's in the stillness, in the silence is where we get the guidance. And that's how we fast track our lives. We only can quantum leap and actually manifest more from a place of not needing more, which is a whole other paradox.
A whole different podcast.
Yeah, but just take stock and just think, where am I actually trying to get to? And how can I deepen into love and gratitude for where I am right now? And let me actually just take an assessment of who I'm hanging around and how they live their life. Do I want to calibrate to their frequency, or you get to decide, how do you want it to be? You know, me and Joanne decided that we wanted to live our lives in hot countries. So we did it. And now I'm mindful about my inside world. It's like, whose nervous system am I calibrating to? I only joined Healy because of how my mentor built the business. She was like, this is how much money I'm earning and this is how I'm doing it. And I could see how calm and how inner feminine she was, how she was traveling the world. And I was like, oh, so it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And yeah,
totally. And I think with the nervous system as well. Like most people go to the gym or they exercise or they do something for their physical body. But how many, like you've just said, reflect on what are you doing for you inside? Like how are you looking after, like your nervous system is basically the command center. It commands your brain, your movements, your breath, your memory. But we don't go anywhere to, there's not like a gym. No one really publicizes you need to look after your nervous system until something goes wrong, and then you have this burnout, and then you realize, oh, I haven't been looking after myself. So I think, just getting there before, protecting, loving your nervous system, the self-care, self-love, protecting that, looking after that before you get to the point where you are in burnout and your physical body, your spiritual body, your mind is then shot and you end up in a bad place is the best way to put it. So just really looking at how you can look after yourself inside your body, your mind, and your body. You need to look after both, and it's not publicized enough. We don't do it enough. So yes, I thank you very much for all of that, Kimberlina. It's very exciting to have a guest. It's nice, isn't it? I think I'll do this again.
It's nice, isn't it?
Nice to have a guest on the podcast. So I think we'll end there for today, because I think we've said a lot and there's a lot to take in there, but it's all good. It's all good stuff. And I do think if you're listening to this, you can reach out to me. I'll put Kim's information in the show notes, so you can head to her website, check out her Instagram if you want, just reach out, especially if you've got questions on how to look after your nervous system. If you're not quite sure on, just questions you can ask, and anything that we've said about the business that we've joined together, just reach out. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Kim, at the end? Anything you want to share? Anything else other than everything you've just said?
Just like, you are so worthy of doing less. Less does not equal less. Less actually does equal more. And when you make that shift, your whole entire life will change forever, and you will find this deep happiness and fulfillment that you've been searching for, but just in the wrong place. So come and find me on Instagram at @KimMellor_. My website is kimmellor.com, and you can find me and Joanne hanging out in Portugal and eats and having so much fun building this amazing community, and just being so on purpose with serving humanity in this beautiful way. So excited for all the fun times.
Yes, me too. Yeah, keep an eye on your Instagrams, ladies, because there's lots coming from us. Yes. Thank you very much, Kim.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you too. Bye-bye.
And that's it today, everybody. I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you again next week. Don't forget, 5 stars, download, tell your friends. You're amazing.